for tuning in to Something to Talk About for this week. As you saw from the introduction that apparently I missed, we will be talking about the ice walks here in Burlington. What exactly does that mean? What does it encompass? Why is it there? You will find that out momentarily. As always, I would like to thank the crew for this evening. Chris Flaherty, who is a staff member here, makes sure that us volunteers normally don't mess up. So I apologize, Chris, but thank you for making sure everything else goes smoothly. And Gwyneth McNamee and Dylan Lynch are our volunteer crew members who gave up their Wednesday evening to come to BCAT and help me out. I would like to thank my husband Paul for staying home for daddy date night, even though he's basically by himself with the cats, but it has become tradition. I think that's everything. So now I would like to introduce my wonderful guest, who is a familiar face around Burlington, Susan Abramson, who is the rabbi at Temple Shalom Emeth, or Emeth. How do you pronounce it?
Well, literally, it should be Emeth would be the correct
Emeth.
Hebrew pronunciation, but nobody ever says that. So we say Temple Shalom Emeth.
Emeth, okay. Well, you are the current rabbi, and you are also very much involved in the interfaith clergy. Is that like a...
Well, I've been the chair of the Interfaith Clergy Council for many years. It's a little bit on hiatus right now.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that they were the ones that introduced the ice walks. But let's back up a little bit. 10-set tour. Tell us about yourself, where you grew up, and how you got to Burlington. And then we will start talking about the interfaith clergy and the ice walks.
Okay, well, I grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, and
So far away.
So far away, and I went to Brandeis, and from Brandeis I went to Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, which is the rabbinical school for the Reform movement, one of the more liberal movements. And
is that still in the Boston area, or?
It was never in the Boston area. That was in New York.
Oh, okay.
I went to the New York campus of HUC, and I'm one of the first 50 women rabbis.
Yes.
And I've been at Temple Shalom Emeth this is my 41st year.
Wow.
And I'm the longest serving female rabbi in New England.
Yes.
So I've been around the block a few times. And I was the chair of the Burlington Interfaith Clergy beginning maybe 15 years ago or something like that.
Really? Oh, okay. I thought it was something that new that just kind of showed up.
Well, when I first came to Burlington in 1984,
Okay.
there was a interfaith clergy group.
Okay.
And Rod MacDonald, who was the Presbyterian minister, chaired it for a couple of decades.
Okay.
And then when he retired and left, I
So
took
now
over.
you're doing it for a couple of decades.
Well, I mean, it's not really so active right now, but
Okay.
but yeah, I had been. And
So is that committee or that organization linked at all to the ice walks?
so, well, we have a variety of different clergy who are members of the Interfaith Clergy
Okay.
Council with different political opinions and everything. So, so 4 years ago, during the first Trump administration, and things were starting to go south from my perspective quickly, some of the liberal clergy got together when we formed an organization called Back for Justice, BAC, the number 4J, which means Burlington Area Clergy for Justice.
Got it. I think I remember that. Okay.
Yeah. So about 4 or 5 of us created that organization, and we still have a Facebook page to this day.
Oh, okay.
And so we started doing what we called Jericho walks.
Yes.
Around the Burlington Ice Office, which is on 1000 District Ave in Burlington, a 5-minute walk from the Burlington Mall, right behind the Burlington Mall. So we would do that monthly, and we had, I mean, we had anywhere from maybe 40 people to 100 people at the most.
Okay.
And the clergy ran it, and people said prayers, we sang, we walked actually around the building, reminiscent of Jericho walks, and other organizations were also having walks of a similar nature at that time. So that was
At
the first.
Burlington, or just like around?
Well, so Burlington happens to have the regional ICE office in our backyard. So it serves all of New England. So it is the central location.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yes, for all the New England states.
That's a pretty big area to cover.
Yes, yeah. So we are like, this is like the place. If somebody has a problem with what ICE is doing, like this is the place to go to, because people are constantly going in there for appointments, and they don't know if they're going to come out or not. There are vans going in and out of the parking lot all the time, taking people who have checked in and they decide to detain them. They're transported from that office to the Plymouth County prison, and from there sometimes transported to prisons across the country.
Wow.
So it's the place, it's the check-in place.
And it was not originally designed for that.
Right. Well, the property is owned by Bob Murray, I guess, who lives in town, and it's an office building, but in 2008, the ICE office, the ICE organization rented it. And they promised, I mean, it's possible to look this up in legal documents, and in Burlington, and the select board has discussed this numerous times. And back in 2008, they also discussed it quite a bit. And the ICE organization said that they would have, when they transformed it into their building, they were going to have 4 holding cells, and they promised that there would just be 4 cells, and they would only be used for like a few hours before people would be sent to Plymouth or wherever.
Facilities that were that had the proper accommodations for overnight guests.
Right. But in the meantime, people have been detained there for a week or more. And I don't know if you want me to. So people, so people who have come out of there have been eyewitnesses or experienced this themselves. That just like I used to see during the first Trump administration, these huge prisons in Texas or wherever, where hundreds of people were just like lying on a concrete floor with like a little Mylar blanket, all like squished together and in like a cage.
Like a chain link fence type thing.
Yeah, so this is like a mini version of that. It's the same conditions.
Have you ever been in this building here, or is it just
I'm not allowed in. Yeah, nobody's allowed.
I don't think you want to go.
Well, I would want to go in to see for myself what's happening, but State Representative Ken Gordon was able to go in, and so he also gave us a first-hand account. So they have 8 cells, and concrete floors, no beds, so people have to sleep on the floor with the same little Mylar blanket. It's cold in there. Sometimes the cells are so crowded that people have to take turns lying down.
Wow.
There's a toilet in the middle of the cell. There's like no privacy at all, and there's no soap. There are no sanitation products. When somebody needed sanitation products, a woman, they gave her a glass of water and they said, pour this over your head. We were just hearing an eyewitness today that about somebody who asked for more food. They do not feed them properly. There's not enough food, and when somebody asks for more, they just said, like, we're not, forget it, like you're not getting anything then. And there's no daylight. They're in there 24 hours a day. There's no fresh air, and somebody said that the only fresh air they get is if somebody happens to walk by in the hallway, and like the breeze from them walking by. So you can imagine that there's no ventilation, that they don't know what time it is. One person said that if they craned their neck around the corner, they could see a clock, but other than that, they didn't know if it was day or night, or horrendous conditions, and there are reports of guards like making fun of them there and harassing them. And
I think that's kind of what blows my mind, that somebody could actually work there voluntarily.
well, they get paid.
Well, but I mean,
yeah, they've chosen
you can
that
get
job
paid to work at Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly. Yep.
But it's like they accepted this job and participate in this behavior, but it's another human being.
Right. Well, there's something about it that they enjoy demeaning other human beings, and we see that. I mean, unfortunately, there are way too many people in our country right now who are just so mean-spirited, and what's going on in our country brings out the worst in everybody.
It also seems to just encourage that
Yes.
behavior as well.
Yes.
And it's not just undocumented immigrants. It's like anyone.
Right. Well, anybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you've heard stories about, like, wasn't there like a Tufts student or Tufts professor that was detained, but she was like an American citizen?
Yep. There have been numerous American citizens who've been detained. That's what's so scary. I mean, it's bad enough that this is happening to undocumented immigrants,
But even documented immigrants.
And documented, yeah. So a woman came while we were standing there, while we were protesting, and she came and she literally jumped out of her car. She was like crying hysterically, and she said her husband, who had all the right legal documents, was pulled out of his car on his way to work. He was working, he was a law-abiding citizen who was working for a living.
Right.
He was pulled out of his car, arrested by ICE, and taken to a prison in Ohio. And so she was left with her 8-year-old daughter, just the two of them.
Wow.
And I don't know if she was working or not, but he was clearly, like earning a living for the family.
Yeah.
So she was there, like she had no idea why they would take him to Ohio, like why they would arrest him in the first place. He was had all the right papers and everything, and so she came there because she had a huge bag of clothes. Because when they pulled him out of his car, all he obviously had were the clothes on his back.
Yeah.
So she had this big plastic bag full of clothes that she was bringing to the ICE office in the hopes that they would bring him his clothes. And of course, we're saying, the minute she left the clothes, I'm sure they would just like throw them in the trash.
Yeah.
It's just awful. Awful there. And we actually brought over one of the other ministers, collected some female sanitary or just sanitary products and brought them to the door innocently. I mean, I knew because I had heard that they won't accept anything from anybody outside, even though they're not providing people in there with anything. So so I walked with two of them, another minister and I walked over to the door with her. So she presented them to the guard and she said, like I would love to give these to the women so they have something. And he said, it was very gruff. I have it on video. And he said, no, you can't. No, we will not accept any of this. And she said, well, do you have products for women? He's like, yes, and then just like slam the door, and we know they don't.
Right.
It's a very difficult situation, and at this point, I can give you a little history of how this has grown. Maybe.
Sure.
All right. So
I have questions, but you're so much more engaged.
I'll just go with
engaging. So doesn't sound like you have anything that you will run out of things to talk about.
No. So after the Back for Justice iteration of this 4 years ago,
right? And that never got huge.
Never got huge. We had maybe 100 people if we were lucky.
Okay.
But this time, there are different things that happen in relationships. So we had not come together to start a Back for Justice thing this time. But one day this guy, Jared Berezin, emailed me and he said, my wife and I are starting a vigil in front of the ICE office, and we were wondering if you might be interested in helping us.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh my God, like this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Somebody new to start this with.
Right.
So I contacted him, and I was on the phone with him for a long time. And so I promised him, I said, if you keep doing this, I will help you like shape it.
Okay.
And I will get people there. I promise.
Well, you certainly did.
So then I started, like, we made a couple of videos that I put on my YouTube channel, and I started plastering it all over Facebook. I was taking a lot of pictures, and then every week, you know, the second week there were maybe 10 people there. The week after that, 20. The next week, 40. It was like doubling every week.
Wow.
And people are so upset about what's going on in our country now, particularly particularly with everything. But this is
right now. This is. I've seen some of the Facebook posts, and it's like, regardless of any other subject matter, this is about the treatment of immigrants.
Right, of human beings. Yes.
Of human beings. Yes.
Yeah. Right. That's one of the reasons why I feel it's so important on many levels, because we make a big point out of the fact that the only issue we are discussing, we are protesting here, is immigration.
Right.
We might feel very differently about other issues, but we're only focusing on immigration.
Yeah.
So
let's work on this situation right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll worry, you know, because something's got to get done. And if you spread yourself too thin, it's okay.
Yeah, and people say like choose a lane, like you know, like
exactly.
Yeah, and just like stick with it, or else there's so much that's wrong that you'll just like run out of energy, and it'll be so diffuse that nothing will ever happen. So like 20, 40, 80, like 160, then we were having over 200 people, and people, it was amazing. It's like the ripple effect, and people were telling other people, and there are lots of groups, and one of them is Indivisible, which is a big, huge organization which has lots and lots of chapters.
Okay.
It's a very liberal organization that responds to a lot of these issues, but this is one of their primary issues.
Wow.
So people in chapters of this group were spreading the word, and like Jewish organizations were sharing it, and groups of other faiths, and clergy of all denominations. And so today, 19 weeks later, we had over 550 people.
Wow.
On one day, all up and down District Ave in front of the ICE office area. And
when I heard that, it's like, okay, first of all, where do you park? Because there's no way, even the mall parking lot, you know, and you probably have to be selective where you park, where you stand, what you do, and how is all of that coordinated?
Well. So first of all,
you're getting there. All right.
Jared and Laurie, Jared's wife, they wanted to have a little protests and vigil standing in front of the ICE office.
And now they have over people.
And it grew and grew and grew. And I said, like let's structure this so you don't because they were having a 4-hour vigil in front of the ICE office. And I'm like, that's too long.
Yeah.
So I said, like, why don't we do it? Because I had experience from the first time
Right.
4 years ago. So I said, make it 2 hours, make it from 11 to 1, which I regret because it's hard for me to wake up in the morning. So I'm like always waking up early to get there, but that's besides the point. Structure it so that people aren't just like standing there for 2 hours. You know, and Jared is a very gifted speaker. He's very passionate. So he wanted to speak every week, which added like a tremendous amount of content and gave the whole action a lot of meaning that it wouldn't have if people were just like standing there. So like 11:15, 11:20, we have he speaks and other people speak, and the past couple of weeks we added music, and so then people stand out for about an hour, and I don't know if you're familiar with District Ave, but it's a side street. It's a small side street, and the ICE office is towards the end of that street, so there is not much traffic going back there, and so people will stand on either side of the roads, and people honk when they go by if they want to support us. But there just aren't that many people walking by, and not that many people driving or walking by. So I'm like, let's march to the end of District Ave to Mall Road.
Okay.
Where there's lots of traffic from the mall and going to Leahy Clinic and
especially at lunchtime.
Especially at lunchtime, yeah. So we added that in. So from 12:30 to 1, we marched to Mall Road, stand out there for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then walk back. So we had the structure as it got bigger, like Jared and Laurie are like, this is getting overwhelming for us. Plus, we added a Facebook page and Instagram and a YouTube channel.
Wow.
And so meanwhile, there was like a group of about 6 local clergy who were all there, like helping to be marshals and giving them advice and everything. And so I said, like, take advantage of them, like take advantage of us.
Yeah.
We want to help. So finally, we established an organizing committee. So there are 6 clergy on this organizing committee. So it's 6 of us and Jared and Laurie. And every week, every Thursday afternoon, we have a debriefing session to go over what happened the Wednesday before and what issues came up and how we can fix, how we can take it to the next level. Yeah. And there are lots of little side issues, nothing horrible, but we just want to make it better and better and better.
Right, and you want people to keep coming.
Yeah, and people are so happy to be there. First of all, every single week we start off by saying how many people are here for the first time, and most people raise their hands.
Wow.
So 50 or 60 people, I mean, not everybody is there when we start our program.
Right.
Because people are still coming in all the time. So most of the people there for the first time, most of the people there at the beginning are there for the first time. So if you add up all the people who've been there over these past 19 weeks, it's probably way over 2,000.
Wow.
It's been thousands of people who have been there. And everybody's just so happy to be there because they feel like this is something they can do. Everybody's feeling so frustrated and so powerless. This is something they can do.
There's an isolated factor. You feel isolated because you feel helpless, and it's like, wait, no, there are other people who think like me, at least on this, and it's a confidence. I don't know if confidence is the right word, but
it makes you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
And so in the meantime, they're holding up these really, these signs which are very, very anti-ICE and anti-Trump and anti, like what ICE is doing.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, like everybody, it's building this amazing, huge community of people, of friends, because everybody's everybody's standing there, but everybody's talking to everybody around them. And my role during these is I walk up and down the street saying hello to everybody, which was a lot of people to say hello to. And I take
the greeter.
Yeah, and I take all their pictures all the time with their signs, and I post them on Facebook and on the Bearing Witness Facebook page and on our Back for Justice Facebook page, and everybody's just so happy that this is one little thing that they can do to make an impact on this situation. So they're angry on the one hand. If their anger brought them here, they find solace, or even from being with each other, and they're meeting all these new friends. It's just been amazing.
So I do have a couple of questions, and I'll probably forget one by the time I answer the other one. Safety concerns, because it is a government agency that you are, I don't want to say fighting against, because fighting denotes violence in my brain, but that you are trying to counteract. Have there been any safety issues at all? Safety concerns?
Well, so ironically, it turns out that the people in the ICE office are really afraid of us.
Really?
Yeah, so the first few weeks there were vans going in and out all the time, and the guards were standing out front, and there were Department of Homeland Security people out there who are ironically very friendly to us, and like as long as you don't throw eggs at us or exit the building, you can do whatever you want. But as we grew, the people at the front door are mostly inside now.
Pull the shades down.
Yeah, all the shades are always down, but the guards are mostly inside now, and the police have expressed concern about us being there because of what we might do to the ICE office, and which we kind of funny because most people. I'm like younger than most of the people there.
Okay.
So, like these 75-year-old, like women, holding a sign, I do not feel is a particular threat to the ICE officer, and all the guys who work there are like these, very big guys.
Because they can like pull people out of moving vehicles. So. Yeah.
But because of our numbers, they're concerned. So they've actually told us that we can no longer stand where we were allowed to stand before.
By the big tree?
Well, so there's one rectangular piece of grass where we are allowed to stand, but before there's like a grass strip that went the length of the building, and at the back of the strip you could like see where the van area is, which is cordoned off now. But at one point they told us we could no longer walk down that strip, and they put these cones out and said like you can't pass these cones, which hadn't been the case for the first 3 or 4 months. And now there are police officers there, and if somebody like innocently like crosses the cones because they're taking a picture of the group from a distance, somebody will run over to them and say, what are you doing? Like, you can't stand here.
Wow.
So they're nervous about us being there. So and today actually, for the very first time, somebody was speaking, and a couple of people were on the roof of the ICE office.
Hopefully none of your group.
No. It was ICE people. So
wow.
Somebody noticed them because when we speak, everybody's kind of facing us, and behind us is the building, so everybody's facing in that direction. And somebody said, ICE, like suddenly shouted, like, there are ICE people on the roof. So we all looked up, and there were these 2 guys on the roof.
Wow.
And everybody started shouting like, shame, shame, and they left.
Wow.
I don't know, like they weren't in uniform, but they obviously worked there because they wouldn't have been allowed in the building.
How else would you have gotten on the roof if you weren't allowed in the building?
Yeah. So anyway, it turns out the biggest threat that anybody has towards anybody else is the perceived threat, which I think is completely erroneous, that we are a threat to them.
Also like psychological studies were like strength in numbers, and if there's enough of you, somebody's going to do something, and everybody's going to follow.
Well, that's what they're afraid of. We make a huge deal out of the fact when we do our introductory remarks, and at the end, this is 100% peaceful protest, and if somebody feels otherwise, they should just leave, because it's not a reflection of who we are.
Don't ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, one guy, we were giving our introductory remarks, and some guy walked over to one of the other organizers and was like whispering very loudly. I mean, I could even kind of hear them. And afterwards I went over and I said, like, what was that all about? And they said he was very angry that we were not throwing things at the building. And they told him, you have to leave, because this is completely inappropriate.
Not associate yourself with us.
Right. This is not who we are. But I mean, I guess there are going to be some people who are more aggressive or whatever, but it'll be made clear, and we have people there who have training in de-escalation, so who I've heard a couple of times calm people down. De-escalate. So that's been
wow,
something that's happened.
Okay, and I feel like I'm missing something, but with your being there and just being present, I don't want to like sound oversimplified, but what do you hope to accomplish? What can be done? Because it seems like the ICE people, many of the staff members there, they're not going to do anything. So you're just like there.
Well, so there are a number of goals we have, and one is to raise awareness, not just by the people who are being there, but by like the social media. You know, we spread these pictures, and I make a big point also of telling people the best thing you can do is share whatever we're sharing, because the midterm elections is coming up in November, and the best way to change things is to change the elected officials in office, and if people see what we're doing and how many people are standing up, and not just cowering in fear, but feel free to stand up, the more that they will empower others. Laurie, Jared's wife, every week she holds up a sign that says, "Courage is contagious." And so we're trying to be as contagious as possible and spread that word far and wide. And another very important role that we serve is, well, there are a few others, but another one is we're showing the ICE officers just how horrible what they're doing is, and how inappropriate. And so another thing that we do is every week we turn the loudspeaker around after our introductory remarks, and people take turns reading the Constitution to the ICE office. And so when people working in the ICE office see how many people out there who are peacefully protesting what they're doing, I mean, hopefully it's making them think twice about what they're doing and the morality of it. When we stand out, particularly along Mall Road, like lots and lots of people drive by, like tons of people were like honking today at all of us, and they're expressing, it's encouraging them to also express their frustration and raise their own awareness. And then there are others, but I'll just end with one more, which is that for the immigrants themselves who are coming into that office, like a lot of them don't even understand what we're doing there. A lot of their English isn't very good, but when they find out, like they have these huge smiles on their faces, and I can't tell you how many people have come over to us and just thanked us with like tears in their eyes, like this is the only little ray of hope they have, that the United States is not against them, and that there are so many people in our country who value them as human beings and are disgusted by the way they're being treated. So it serves that purpose as well. And 3 weeks ago, there were two little boys whose mother had gone in for an appointment. They were sitting on the front steps. It was over 90-degree heat. They weren't allowed in the building with their mother, and they were sitting on the front steps, and they were crying because they didn't know if their mother would ever see their mother again. So one of the ministers went over and sat with them and like prayed with them and gave them water and just
Somebody should call DSS for the
on ICE, yeah, and that's not the first time that I've heard of young children being just like left out there unsupervised while their parents went in and didn't know whether or not their parents would come out, like young children in a parking lot. So we've served that function of really helping people in their moment of crisis, and just even if they were in there, knowing that there are all these people out there who are rooting for them, I think makes a tremendous difference psychologically.
I'm not really sure where to go with that. But no, I still can't wrap my head around it. I'm having a hard time. But your group with Jared and Lisa? Laurie, sorry. Jared and Laurie, you focus on the Wednesdays.
Yes.
I've recently seen on social media that there's going to be or has been a different group on Saturdays?
Yes. So that's a little bit of a complication, because there are other groups also protesting in different ways, and everybody confuses them with us.
Right.
We are bearing witness, and I remember when we chose that name specifically because that was the essence of what we are. We are bearing witness to what ICE is doing.
Okay.
There are other groups called, just like groups in general, one's called Discord and one's called Heat Wave, who may approach things a little differently than us.
Okay.
So by the way, the ICE office is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5.
Okay.
So those groups have a standout on Saturdays along Mall Road.
Oh, okay.
But they have nothing to do with, I mean, like a lot of the same people go. It's a much, much smaller thing. But
well, because nobody's there. But anyway.
Yeah, the ICE office is closed, so they're standing along Mall Road holding up signs.
Okay.
And there was another action at Cafe Escadrille last Friday because Bob Murray owns Cafe Escadrille.
Oh, okay. I saw the headline. I didn't dig too much deeper.
Yeah. So that's a different group from ours.
Okay.
But and there was last Friday there was a woman there who was going in for an appointment, and they didn't know whether she would come out or not, and there was a huge group of people there to support her.
Okay.
And people thought that was us, which it wasn't. But I mean, it's hard to discern who's doing what when.
Exactly.
But we are only there Wednesdays from 11 to 1.
Okay.
And there's also talk of starting something other days of the week, but that's not us either. We've got our hands full just with what we do on Wednesdays.
Understandable.
Yeah, but what's happening is that now the ICE office knows clearly that there are going to be a ton of people there on Wednesdays. So I think they rearrange people's appointments to not be there on Wednesdays. Somebody drove by there the other day and said there was a line of people out the door on a non-Wednesday, which is probably, so they're probably like squeezing people into other days.
Okay. Wow. So you are definitely having an impact with the office.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that happened is that somebody went to talk to the head of the Burlington Mall and asked them not to allow us to park in the parking lot of the Burlington Mall. And whoever they spoke to said they are absolutely welcome to park there whenever they want.
Wow.
But it was like somebody from ICE went over and specifically asked them to not allow us to park there.
Okay.
So they're obviously
uncomfortable.
And now the FAA building right next to the ICE office has cones in the parking lot, so we can't go down there.
Didn't know there was an FAA building over there. I gotta get out more.
Yeah, it's right on the other side of the parking lot from the ICE office, and then there's like a software company right across from the Burlington Mall. They have cones across their parking lot also to prevent us from parking there. So it's having an impact. And I also have to say, whenever I would often go to Pressed Cafe afterwards for lunch, which is part of the whole experience. A lot of people go to Pressed or other places for lunch afterwards.
So Pressed like, come on in.
Yeah. So somebody.
We'll bring coffee to you next week.
Well, so from the first time I went there, one of the people there would always come over and like bring a plate of cookies for us, and I would say, "What's this all about?" And so that person would say, "It's my way. I can't be out there with you, but it's my way of showing you that I support you."
Cool.
So and then plus, we marched down District Ave. There are tons of people sitting outside of Press during lunch.
Yeah.
So they're all like seeing us. Lots of people are seeing us.
Okay, I did remember my other question. You had mentioned that Representative Ken Gordon was there, had a tour.
Yep.
And I know recently Nick Priest from the Burlington Select Board was at one of your...
Yeah, he spoke.
Can I call it a protest?
Yeah. I mean, I tend to call it a standout.
Standout, okay. It just, protest but sounds like too crowd... Anyway, so you're getting government officials at more of the local level. How has that impacted like the Burlington side of things? So like Mr. Priest was there and said, okay, the select board gave permission when they first established that office there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any recourse that the town can have to like change the operation?
Well, I think they're investigating what kind of impact they can have, but
Okay.
but the ICE office, their lease is up in 2028.
Oof. Okay.
So I think even normally it would be hard to
Right. I'm just wondering, like, now that your presence has piqued the interest of local and state governments, how do you think they will react? And can they do anything?
Right. Well, that's what's being investigated, and there's very little that can be done. And
Okay.
ICE has denied anybody access to the building. The only reason why State Representative Gordon got in was when Seth Moulton came.
Okay.
After Marcello was detained there for 7 days. The
Right.
17-year-old boy from Milford who was there for 7 days. So they both went in together and saw the building, but usually they deny access to everybody, and,
Right.
and they don't allow anybody to go in and inspect what's going on
Yeah.
there. Nothing.
Well, right there should be a clue. You know, there needs to be like,
Well, they're like acting according to their own rules. Like they're not going by any like the law or anything.
you know, like calling DSS when they leave abandoned. Okay, so what else is going on?
Well, I just wanted to add that 4 years ago, and I'm sure it hasn't changed. So there's a huge area behind the ICE building where there are all these vans going in and out.
Okay.
4 years ago, you could see it was just a chain link fence.
Right.
Now it's got a huge black curtain kind of thing, so you
Kind
can't
of like when
see.
they're doing the construction, they put that black
Yeah.
plastic stuff.
Yeah. So, but back then, when we would walk around the building, which we're no longer allowed to do, we could look in, and so I actually have footage, and I just can't get it out of my mind.
From back then, or
from back
recently?
then.
Oh, okay.
We were walking around, and suddenly the door opened in the back of the building, and they brought out 6 or 7 people walking towards the van, and they were all wearing orange jumpsuits, and their hands and legs were shackled. And their hands were shackled behind their back, and their legs were shackled, and it was like a chain gang. Like it was,
That's like, major high security prison stuff.
right. These like innocent, immigrants, and I'll never. There were like 6 men, I think, and 1 woman, and they put the men in the van first, and I just have this footage, like this 10 to 15 second video of this one woman with her hands and legs shackled, wearing an orange jumpsuit, and she just had like this most horrible like expression on her face, like life is over kind of expression,
Yeah.
and she didn't know it was going to. I just like that image to me like says it all.
How can
That's
you,
what's happening all
not
the-
have nightmares?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so I just stayed and we were like bearing witness to what they were doing.
Yeah.
And finally they got her in the van, and then they did something threatening towards us or whatever, so, like, to get us away from there.
Wow.
I think they started walking over and saying like, you can't stand here, get away. And yeah, but I have that. I just can't get that out of my mind. Or the woman jumping out of her car crying hysterically. We've had other people just like walk over. We had another woman just walk over and just speak to us and like thank us, and her brother was about to go into the building for an appointment, and he was so scared to walk in there, and she was there to support him, and she just was like practically in tears.
Yeah.
Just so afraid what was going to happen to her brother. But she came over and spoke to us about that, and we just supported her, and but that's happened a bunch of times. 4 years ago, somebody actually came over and spoke to us after they were released from the ICE office.
Okay.
He had a huge scar on his face. Whatever country he was from, he was probably like attacked.
Yeah.
And he couldn't speak any English, but somebody translated for him, and he had like one of those little, probably like a prison bag, like a fishnet kind of bag with all of his belongings, which fit into this little tiny bag. And he was just like standing there with like wearing these really awful clothing, and was just talking, like, also so thankful for us being there and what he had just gone through. So these are the images that keep going through my mind.
Keep making you
Wanna
go there
back.
every Wednesday and do something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because, go ahead.
These are real life, like person to person, up close and personal interactions that, and it's one thing to hear about a story on TV or hear somebody talk about what somebody else has experienced, but when somebody's right in front of you, you can like look into their eyes and see, what they're experiencing. That's what really hits you hard.
And I think it's also scary too, because there doesn't seem to be any differentiation from American citizens who are not that, Caucasian, blonde hair, blue eyed look or whatever, versus those who are here legally and are following the law, versus those who came here to escape the nightmares that they were experiencing, but still risked everything to come here.
Well, they all did. I mean, they I mean, you don't just like pick up and leave and like walk for months from your home country and risk death like over and over and over again just to try to make it to the border and not knowing what your life is going to be like, or if you'll be able to earn a living or not know the language, nothing. I mean, nobody risks that and carrying their children on their shoulders and I mean, I've studied this a lot about where they go when people from Central and South America when they come through Mexico to the United States border. It's horrific. I mean, why would you risk that unless your life was truly in danger, or you have like no future at all, or we're living in like horrible poverty and figure like I'm never gonna make enough money to eat. Right. Like why not try to improve my life? Right.
And some of them are here for asylum because their lives are threatened.
Yeah, lots of them.
I think the lack of empathy with so many people in our society today, I think that, how can we fix that? How can we change that?
I think also standing up and for people to see how many others are standing up and how many others are not just sitting quiet. In Judaism, like one of the rules I go by is do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. Like that's one of the things that really influences me, and that happened to my people in the Holocaust, is that lots and lots of Germans just sat idly by.
Right.
Well, and that's another thing that really, really motivates me personally as a Jew, is that I saw what happened as the Holocaust progressed, and I feel like now it's my turn.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing what I wished that people had done for my relatives in Germany and Europe during the Holocaust. So I feel like it's my turn now. Like this is my opportunity.
It's like the pay it forward type.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's oversimplifying it, but
yeah, because I know what it's like. I had numerous relatives who were killed in the Holocaust because nobody stood up.
Right.
And so this is my opportunity this is what I need to do as a Jew, to help save other people's lives from an organization that's acting not too differently from the Gestapo, in Germany in World War II.
Right.
So we know, we've seen, we like to say we've seen this before,
Right.
and there's a saying also in Jews say never again, never again, like what happened in the Holocaust.
Okay.
So this is like, we say never again is now, like it's happening now.
Right.
We have the freedom and the ability to do something, and so to stand idly by, in my mind, is not an option.
Okay. Other than, are there other options for those who want to stand up but can't be there with you physically on Wednesdays?
Yes. So again, like anybody can share what we're doing with others, like on Facebook, on Instagram.
But is that enough?
You can talk to other people, just talk to your friends, just say like, hey, did you hear about, every week people come and they said, oh, I just heard that you were doing this. The funniest one was when I was walking down the street talking to everybody who's standing there, and I came across one of the marshals, and I said, hi, like, thanks for doing this. And she said, oh, is this your first time here? And I was one of the speakers.
Yours.
So a lot of people come and they said, oh, I just heard about this. I didn't hear about this before. So we still have a long way to go for other people to learn about this action. And again, hopefully it'll translate into votes in November and people feeling like they can share and have a groundswell of support for what is right and moral and decent.
Would something, I'm just thinking, like, I know a lot of people are not on social media or feel that they want to do more. What about, like, would you encourage letter writing to
Yes.
their...
Yeah. So I would also encourage letter writing or calling Seth Moulton's office,
Okay.
Governor Healy's office, Elizabeth Warren's office. One thing I've kind of learned is that because of the political situation in Washington, the fact that the Republicans have control over the houses, like Seth Moulton, for example, doesn't have the leverage, even if he wanted to,
Right.
Have investigations or whatever. Speaker Johnson would just put the kibosh on that. So really the bottom line, and this is what our state representative Gordon was saying, the most important thing is voting to try to, in the next election, to try to change the balance in the House and the Senate. So letter writing can only go so far. I mean, Governor Healy, I think that's an important one.
Right. Okay. Hadn't really thought about sending her something, but when you were talking about making sure you go out and vote, I do remember talking to Amy Warfield when she was in her town clerk position, and she's like, she had commented saying, and I hope I'm not misremembering, but she's like, people used to tell her, oh, I only vote in the important elections. She's like, every single election is important. Every vote gets you one step closer to what you want. And like you had mentioned before with the, tell two friends, and so on and so on, and it builds. The more you share, it's like, okay, change comes in waves.
Right. This isn't right. We need to change who is in elected positions. Yeah. Yep.
And we only have like a couple minutes left, and I'm about to say, oh, so what's the next situation you're going to no, I'm not going to go there. But how do you see yourself meaning the organization, continuing into the winter?
Yeah, it's a marathon. We say it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we're continuing to try to get more and more publicity.
Okay.
Because that spreads the word even more. I mean, the Globe has been out there.
Oh, wow.
And WBUR was there today. Local outlets have been there. So we're going to continue this, and I think the more we grow, the more we'll be in the press, and the more that will spread the influence, and the more people will want to bear witness in any way that they can.
Because I'm just thinking, okay, you mentioned the 90 degree, the 100+ degree, the, no shade. And I'm just thinking, well, the opposite's going to be here, potentially, in a few months, where it's going to be icy. Not because of the ice office.
Yes.
I didn't mean it that way. But, slush, snow, bitter cold.
Yeah, well, so when we had the Back for Justice movement 4 years ago,
okay,
we were out in all of that. What ended it for us the last time was COVID.
Oh my God, longest 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
I know it's still going on, and it's resurging, and
yeah, but so I think it was in March of 2020 that we stopped having the Back for Justice because everybody was just kind of isolated. We couldn't. So that's what ended it. It wasn't the weather.
Do you anticipate the resurgence of COVID that seems to be creeping in now or any other health related incident, or not incident, but like with crowds, and either the resurgence of COVID or something else? Are you concerned about people's health?
Well, I mean, I think we've learned enough about COVID that if we're outside and we're not like in very close,
right,
up and personal with somebody for more than like 10 minutes.
And if you're sick, stay home.
Right, and if you're sick, stay home. And I've been trying to not shake people's hands so much. I did come down with a bad cold over the summer, and I'm sure it was from shaking hands with somebody at a rally. So now I'm like washing my hands a lot and
hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer. Exactly.
And then your skin get all dry and gross and everything.
Yeah, but that's a good thing about being outside, though, is that something like COVID, it's hard to pass that along when you're in the open air.
So, really quick, because we are just about out of time. Facebook presence?
Yeah, so we have a Bearing Witness Facebook group,
okay,
which is closing in on 1,000 members. And we have an email list that somebody could send me their email, and I will add them to the email list. That's also closing in on 1,000 members.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't do Instagram. I don't know what's going on there.
Neither do I. So, well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with the Bearing Witness group, as well as your own personal experiences, and showing me that showing the audience, hopefully, that there's hope. And to get out and, what was it? Stand up?
Stand out.
Stand up. Okay. Do not stand idly by.
Exactly. Do not stand idly by. That's my message to everybody. Okay. Do not stand. And if somebody says, like, what good does it do? I say, what good does it do to do nothing? So, and it, as you said, gives us all some degree of hope.
So, thank you very much. And I also want to thank everyone for tuning in. I hope that you now have a little bit of hope and energy and are ready to go out and make a difference to make this world a better and happier place for everybody. So, thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Good night, and I'll see you around town.